Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, good evening, whenever you are consuming. We get started in a second. Let's give Instagram a few moments to populate this. Hopefully they populate it. As y'all coming in, shout yourselves out. Tell me where you checking in from. Good morning, the Angel B. Good morning. Hope you're doing good. Hope everybody's having a good month, week, year. Again, whenever you're consuming this, because this will be on replay. More people see it on replay, don't see it live. But we are going to do this live right now. We're going to get started in about 10 seconds. I should have had more water before I started. Shout out to Chicago. Those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day, former 9-year pro athlete, author of 33 books on 4 TED Talks, create this whole brand framework in business called Work on Your Game. It's all about taking the tools to help athletes get to the top 1% of the sports world, taking the tools to help athletes get to the top 1% of the sports world, translating those tools over to the business world to help professionals like yourselves perform at a higher level, do it consistently, and as a result, make more money. Make more money in your business. So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about how to get in the back door. In other words, when you're trying to make things happen. Hold on one second. What the hell did I... When you're trying to make things happen in your business, there's more than one way to make it happen. All right. The challenge for a lot of us is that we only look at things one way, checking it from the assembly line. Shout out to everybody on the assembly line. There's more than one way to make it happen. The challenge for many of us is that we only look at things one way, and we basically try to, hold on one second again. So we only look at things one way, and we think, all right, if I can't make it happen that one way, then I can't make it happen at all. On the contrary, there's more than one way to go and make things happen. You don't have to do it just that one way. There are other ways to do it. What I'm going to talk about here today are some ways that you can look at things such that you can get in the back door and still make stuff happen, even if the main way that we may normally try to go do something isn't available. There's still another way to do it. So it's kind of like if you're trying to make money, well, one way to make money is you can go get hired at a job. But what if nobody will hire you at a job? Is there an alternative way to make money? Of course there are. There's a whole bunch of alternative ways to make money. The challenge for many of us is that we only look at things in the way that we know about or whatever we're consciously thinking about. And if we can't do it that one way, then we decide, well, I can't do anything. I've tried everything. I can't do anything else because we're just not conscious of the other opportunities available to us. So what my goal is here today is to show you on a strategy level. This is not tactically. I'm not going to say, all right, well, if you want to do this, do this. That's the tactical level. On a strategic level, a little bit higher level, here are some ways that you can think about the challenges that you have and the goals that you have such that you may come up with some better ideas and some different ideas for attacking your goal, even if the main way does not work. Everybody with me on that? Good. Let's get into it. The topic, once again, is how to get in the back door. The first thing you can do is what we call triangulation. What does triangulation mean? To triangulate simply means to bring a third party into a situation. So everybody knows what a triangle is, right? Triangle is a shape with 3 points. So instead of it being 2 points, you trying to deal with whoever, you're trying to get this job, or you're trying to close this business deal, or you're trying to get this person to say yes to you, or you're trying to get these people to want to listen to you and work with you. Maybe that doesn't work. If that's not working, what you can do is you can triangulate by bringing a third party into the situation who can help you achieve the outcome that you otherwise may not have been able to achieve on your own. So you can triangulate, and you can use triangulation in many different ways. Everything I'm about to share with you here today, you can use these for malicious purposes, like in a negative way. You can also use them in a positive way. It's just a matter of how you choose to use them. You can use them however you want. So in this sense, I'm talking about the positive way. So instead of going the direct way, see if you can use a third entity to get something done. So for example, when I was trying to get on, my background's in sports. I played basketball overseas for almost a decade. And when I was trying to get on, I knew I was going to be playing overseas, but I'm from the United States. I've never even been overseas, let alone did I know anybody overseas, especially in the basketball world. I figured, how am I going to do this? I don't know anybody overseas. So it's probably going to be hard for me to make it happen getting in contact with somebody overseas and getting them to trust me and bring me into their team when they don't even know who I am. I've never even been there. So if I go just try to reach out to a team directly and get signed, maybe it'll work, but probably not, simply because I have no kind of credibility or I don't have any collateral to offer them or to show them, and nobody to co-sign for me, nobody to vouch for me. So I'm probably not going to be able to do it the direct way. So let me triangulate and do this in an indirect way. So instead of it being me talking to a team and seeing what happens, instead I said, how about I talk to someone else who knows somebody at the teams and they can speak on my behalf. So now it's 3 of us instead of 2 of us. Everybody understand? That's what triangulation means. It means bringing a third party into a situation to help you achieve the outcome that you couldn't get done, that you could not achieve just doing everything by yourself when it's just 2 parties. So here's what I did. This is when I'm trying to get on playing ball. I started reaching out to basketball agents. This is after I went to an exposure camp. I got some footage. I got a scouting report. I started calling basketball agents because agents, by the definition of their job, they have connections to pro teams. So I connected with an agent. The agent had connections to teams, and the agent went out and spoke on my behalf. He got me signed to a team. Now, could I have gotten that to happen by myself? Maybe, but it would have took me probably a lot longer time, and there was a lot less odds that I would have been able to pull it off than if I would have just let somebody else take the job. So triangulation simply means when you're trying to get something done, this is one of the ways to get in the back door. Instead of trying to do it all yourself, do it through somebody else. I'll give you another example. Let's say I'm trying to get cool with Oprah. Let's say I want to do a business deal with Oprah Winfrey. All y'all know who Oprah is, right? Now, Oprah is very popular, so it'd be great for me to do a business deal with her, because if she promotes one of my books that you see here behind me, I could probably sell a whole lot of books. Or she promotes whatever I got going on. If I had a movie, if I had a documentary, anything I got, if Oprah promotes it, I'll probably make a whole lot of sales. The challenge is a lot of people are trying to get that connection from Oprah because Oprah has the power to make somebody's thing pop off. So she probably has a bunch of people reaching out to her, and thusly she has these barriers to entry that makes it hard for you to get in touch with her. So for me, just trying to reach Oprah directly is probably not going to work. So let's just say I looked up Oprah on Twitter or on Instagram and tried to just send her a tweet or a DM. It's probably not going to work because Oprah's probably not even looking at them, and she probably gets so many of them that she doesn't even notice any one. She doesn't separate one from the other. So how can I make this work? All right, let's say I'm trying to do a business deal with Oprah, but I can't reach Oprah directly. It's not like I got Oprah's cell phone number, and even if I did, she probably ain't going to answer, right? Because she don't need to. So how am I going to do this? Well, here's what I can do. Here's a couple ways that I can triangulate. Now, given what example that I just gave you, y'all should be able to figure this out. One way I can triangulate is, let's say I go meet somebody who's friends with Oprah, who Oprah will answer their call. Oprah will respond to their text. If I can get cool with that person who's Oprah's friend, the friend might be able to drop my name in a conversation with Oprah. Now Oprah's willing to talk to me. Why? Because of the recommendation from the friend. That's triangulation. Another thing I could do is go reach out to Oprah's personal assistant, whoever that is, her executive assistant, whoever takes her calls, her secretary. That person can speak to Oprah on my behalf. Now, Oprah will listen to them, but she won't listen to me because she doesn't know me. So if I can get cool with that person, I may have a better chance of connecting with Oprah. If I want to go reach the New York Knicks, I can call their 1-800 number on their website. It's probably not going to get me the thing that I want. But if I make the right connection to the right person who works at the New York Knicks, who may not be in such high demand as the Knicks themselves, then I can get in. So that's what triangulation is. Maria said connections. Yes, it's connections, but it's strategic connections. So triangulation is about being strategic in your connections. So you don't want to be connected to just anybody, not just any bum off the street. You got to be connected to somebody who actually has some influence with the people whom you want to influence. So this is where you gotta think. Again, strategically is the word that I used earlier here. So thinking strategically will help you to triangulate. So you want to reach out to the right people, connect with the right individuals. Now, some people may be wondering, because I get this question often when I talk about having the right strategic partnerships with the right people. People say, Dre, I get it. That makes a whole lot of sense. But how do I connect with these people? Where are these people at? How do I even know where to even look for the right type of people who have the right kind of connections, who can help me strategically go to where I want to go? This is a good question. I have a good answer for you. The answer is you need to be where people who are about something and are going somewhere, and people who are making things happen, you need to be where they are. That's your job. Your job is to be in the room where the people who are making things happen are existing and hanging out and talking to each other and mixing and mingling. That's your job, is to know where they are and to be there. That's your job. Now, where are these places? Just to give you some examples in the professional world, the business world, these people gather because you want to go to a place where you can meet a bunch of them at the same time, right? It's not like you want to just meet one person. So you get on the elevator, you might randomly meet some business person, right? I can get on the elevator here. I live in Miami, Florida. I can get on the elevator here. Maybe there's some random business guy who's about something. He's on the elevator. I was on the elevator, as a matter of fact, like a month ago, and I had a bunch of packages I was taking down to the package room to get shipped out. And there was this guy, I didn't know him. He was in the elevator already, and he saw, because I had this big cart with all these packages on it, and I could see him looking, like he was craning his neck and looking at the package just to see what, like the label, the return label on it, and he saw my company name and stuff on it, and he was like, "Oh, what is it that you sell? What is it that you do?" He could probably tell I was an entrepreneur, and I told him this is on an elevator ride, so this is only like 30 seconds, and I told him what I was doing, and then he introduced himself, and he, I think he might have followed me on Instagram, I don't know. But I looked him up, and he had his own business, and he had his own podcast, and he had all his own things that he was already doing. That's a random connection. Now, can you plan for that? Can you be strategic about that? Not really. So a way to strategically go about meeting the kind of people who you want to meet is you want to go to where there's a bunch of them all at the same place at the same time. So that way, you're going to meet somebody who's doing something. Even if you don't meet everybody, you're going to meet somebody because they're all there for the same purpose. One way that you do this in the professional world is events. People have gatherings that are specifically designed for this reason. All of us who are in this space are all coming together to meet each other and talk and exchange information and exchange insights and make friends and have drinks and all take pictures with each other and exchange. And somebody's going to be on stage talking and we can take notes. We all come there for that specific reason. To give you an example of this, just last week, I was at the Bitcoin conference, and that was in South Beach at the Miami Beach Convention Center. There, all the people who are doing something in the Bitcoin space, especially people who are heavy in it, usually find their way to that event. Why? Because they know that the other people who are doing something in that space are all going to be there. And there are events like this in every industry. So if you're in the fitness industry, there are events for people in fitness. If you're in personal development, there are events for this. If you're in anything that has to do with, let's say, finance, there are events for finance people. If you're in automobile manufacturing, there are events for this. There are events for every single industry. So if you're in engineering, there are events. If you are an eye doctor, an optometrist, there are events for optometry. If you're a dentist, there are events for this. If you're an entrepreneur, you want to make more money in your business, there are events that are designed for this. So your job, everybody, each one of you who's listening, it is your job to know where are these events, where and when are these events where the people who are doing what I'm trying to do are all meeting up together. And what do I need to do to buy a ticket and clear my schedule to make sure that I'm in the room where all those people are gathering? Why does this matter? You're not going to events just to say that you went to an event, even though some people do go to events just to say that they went to an event. It's like somebody goes to the LA Lakers game just to say they went to the Lakers game. This is a status symbol, I suppose. I'm talking about you go to the event strategically. You go to the event because you know that all the people, not all of them, but a lot of people, let's say, who are in that space and they're moving and shaking and making stuff happen, they're going to be there. That means you need to be there. Why? Because you want to be one of the people who's moving and shaking and making stuff happen. So it only makes sense that you want to be in the room where those people are at. This is how you make strategic connections, everybody. Does everyone understand what I'm saying here? I have made so many connections and built so many relationships simply because, and here's the big piece of this that all you got to get. This usually requires some type of investment. You got to make a financial investment because you got to pay for the ticket. You have to pay for the travel. You got to pay for the hotel. And then while you're there, you're paying for the food, the drinks, whatever it is else that you pay for. And is the opportunity cost of what you're not doing because you're not at home. So this is a financial investment. And this financial investment, you need to make it worth it by making sure you make the connections and then following up on those connections so that you can get the ROI from the investment that you made up front. Everybody follow what I'm saying here. So you can do this through going to events and conferences and events. You can also do this through joining programs. So you join any kind of program where there's a group element to it. So for example, I join most of the coaching programs and masterminds I join have multiple people in it. It's not just me talking to one person. Now, some people get into that where they're talking to one person because that's what they need. Like therapy, for example, is usually not a group thing. It's not a mastermind for therapy. But there are other programs where there's groups where you join this program and there's 50 people in a group or 10 people or 5 people. Now you not only meet the main guy or girl who's teaching, and it may not even be one main guy or girl, but you also meet the other members. And that's where relationships can come from. I have business relationships and business partnerships that I still work in to this very day with people who I met 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago in programs that I joined the program. I paid money to join the program. They paid money to join the program. We did not know each other, but we met in the program, and now we made a connection outside of that program, and now we can do business that has nothing to do with the program that we originally joined. The only way this can happen is by you making an investment. Another thing that you can do, this one is a little bit more tangential, is be in the places where you can meet the kind of people you want to meet. So, for example, I was watching this old Kevin Samuels video the other day. Y'all know who Kevin Samuels is. He was a black guy. He passed away like a year or two ago. I think it was last year. And he used to talk about relationships. And he mostly, at the time that he passed, he was mostly talking to women about, he was talking to women who wanted to get into a relationship but were not currently in one. They were trying to find the right type of man. And he would always ask women, well, where do you live? Because these women would say, well, I'm not meeting the kind of man that I want to meet. He would say, well, where do you live? And they would say wherever they were living at. And he would tell them, look, the place that you're living is not conducive to you meeting the kind of man that you want to meet, because there are not enough of them in the place where you're living. If you want to meet a man who's making this kind of money, has this kind of status and this kind of job, you probably need to go to a city that is a little bit bigger and has a bigger pool of men. So if you're living in, some smaller place, this woman, I was watching this video the other day. This woman was living in Raleigh, North Carolina, is what she said. Now, I like Raleigh, North Carolina. Shout out to Raleigh. Raleigh's a great college town for those in that space. But if you're older than that, Raleigh's still a nice place. But this woman was trying to meet a certain type of man. And Kevin Samuels was saying to her, based on the answers that she was given, the kind of man that she wanted to meet, Kevin Samuels was like, look, if you want to meet this kind of man, you need to be in like a city that has a NFL team or NBA team or Major League Baseball team. Not necessarily that she needed to meet a player off the team, but those kind of cities tend to be bigger cities with huge metropolitan areas. They have a lot of business going on. And there's a lot of opportunities to meet professional people because there's a lot of professional stuff going on in those towns. That's why they have sports teams. So that's why he was just using the sports team for you to understand these are the kind of places that have these kind of people. So you want to go to somewhere like New York or LA or Chicago or Houston or Dallas or Miami or Atlanta. Why? Because these cities have a bigger pool of men based on the type of man that she was talking about. The whole point here is that's another investment that you can make. So any of you living in some small town where there's nobody there, but you want to make strategic connections, well, one investment you can make is to go where it's a bigger town and there are more people. And there are more people who are actually doing stuff, and it's worth the investment. Like where I live here in South Florida is not cheap. I can take the same money that I invest to live where I live now, and I can get like a damn 7-bedroom mansion if I wanted to live in Wisconsin or Wyoming or Idaho or something like that. But I'm willing to invest more to live where I live because of the proximity of other people who are out here making things happen. So I'm willing to make that investment. I'm not saying that you have to do this, but this is another thing that you could do if you want to make the right strategic connections so that you can, again, this point number one, triangulate and use your connections to make things happen when you aren't able to do it just in a direct way. Point number two, we are talking here today about we're talking about making connections, but the topic is getting in the back door. So if you can't make things happen the straight, direct way, there are other ways to make it happen. Point number two, you got to think like a chess player and plan several moves ahead. What does this mean? Any of you who knows actually how to play chess, a lot of people talk about playing chess, not checkers, don't even know how to play chess. But if you know how to play chess, you understand the game of chess is played strategically in that you have to plan ahead. You want to plan ahead the moves that you're making. So you may make a move and your opponent may not know what you're doing, but you're just setting up a move that's like 5 moves down the line before the thing actually happens, whatever it is that you're doing. That's playing like a chess player, whereas opposed to playing a game like checkers, which is usually 1 move at a time, because for the most part in checkers, each piece can only do one thing. But in chess, each piece kind of has its own unique movements that it can take, and you got to think more strategically and more 3-dimensionally as opposed to checkers, which is more 1 and 2-dimensionally. I got a video on YouTube where I talk about chess. I analogize chess to life. If you haven't seen that video, just look it up on YouTube. So just type in my name and type in the word chess. So if I wanted to, for example, I want to catch some snakes. Let's say I got a garden. I got a backyard in my house and there are snakes, and I want to get rid of the snakes. I want to kill the snakes. I could just walk through the garden and try to see if I can eyeball the snakes and then just try to kill them directly. That might work, but it probably won't work because snakes are usually got the survival instinct. They'll probably notice me coming, no hide, no get away. So another way I could catch the snakes, again, this is just an example, is I could put some cheese out on the patio next to the garden. Now, why would I put out cheese? Is cheese going to attract snakes? Probably not. But what does cheese attract? Cheese will attract mice and rats. So if I put some cheese out, the mice are going to come to get the cheese. When the mice come to get the cheese, the snakes are going to come to get the mice. So now all I got to do is I just watch the cheese, wait till the mice come. And then when the mice are coming, then the snakes are going to come out. And when the snakes come to get the mice, now I can kill all the snakes. So this is a way of thinking, again, three-dimensionally. This is a way of thinking several steps ahead instead of thinking only one step ahead at a time. Many people only think one step ahead. And again, this is when you're trying to do things directly, which can work if you have the right timing, the right talent, the right market, the right opportunity, etc. But if you don't have that, then you may need to take extra steps. So you need to know, what could I do right now that will lead to the next thing, that leads to the next thing, that leads to the next thing. If any of you follows basketball, they have this thing they call the hockey assist, or also they got the screen assist. The regular assist in basketball is if I pass you the ball, you shoot it, you score, I get an assist because I passed you the ball. The hockey assist is when I pass you the ball, then you pass somebody else the ball, they score, I get the hockey assist. The hockey assist is I made the pass to set up the pass to set up the score. In hockey, they actually keep track of this. In basketball, they don't traditionally keep track of it, but these days there are advanced statistics and advanced data that does track this stuff. Even screen assist. I set a screen, and then the person I set the screen for scores. There are people who in advanced data, they keep track of this stuff. So it's what's the additional step that you could take that kind of precludes the real step, or not the real step, but the penultimate step that leads to the step of the actual activity. That's thinking like a chess player, and that requires you thinking strategically and thinking in steps, and let your plan unfold instead of just thinking, oh, I'm gonna do this, or did that work? No, let me try this. Did that work? No, let me try this. That's the way many people operate. We call that tactical hell, where you're just tactically, you just keep trying different stuff. It doesn't work, then you come up with another tactic. You come up with another tactic and another one. Many people operate like this because many people have not trained their brains to think in a strategic way. They're only thinking in a straight line way. They're only thinking in a binary direct way. And then when that thing doesn't work, they end up stuck. And is a thought challenge. This is not a skill challenge. It's not an intelligence challenge either. It's a thinking challenge. When you haven't trained your brain to think strategically, you may only do things in a direct way. And if your direct way doesn't work, then you end up failing because you have no other options. You don't have a plan B. So you got to have that plan B. I'll give you another example. I was just reading this article. I didn't even finish it yet. I was reading this article about Eric Spoelstra, who's the coach of the Miami Heat basketball team. And it was talking about how in 2011, when they lost in the NBA Finals, this is the first year when LeBron was here, they lost in the NBA Finals, and Eric Spoelstra was really upset, not at the players, but at himself, because he realized that the way that the Dallas Mavericks beat them was that they used the Miami Heat's strategic weaknesses against them. They just set certain things up so that the Heat couldn't do what they did best. So they clogged up the lane so Dwayne Wade and LeBron couldn't drive to the basket, and they passed the ball a whole lot really fast, Dallas did, so that the Heat couldn't play the passing lanes and get steals and use their certain defenses to disrupt the other team's offense. And Eric Spoelstra did not have a strategic move to everything that Dallas did. So he blamed himself for that loss. And then the next 2 years, they won the next 2 championships because he made some strategic changes to the process. So they already had the talent. They just didn't have the right strategy. So he was thinking, what's an extra step that I can take here just in case it doesn't work the way that I planned it? How can I make this work anyway? So that's what I mean when I say thinking like a chess player instead of thinking like a checkers player. Moving on to point number 3. We're talking here today about getting in the back door. This is about how do you make things happen when your first option for making things happen didn't work. Can you still make it happen? The answer is yes, you can, but you got to do it the right way. Third thing you can do is connect with somebody who's already on the inside. See, if you're trying to get in the back door, let's say you're trying to get in the back door of a building and you're trying to open the door, but the door is not open. You try to get in the front door, it's not open. Try to get in the back door, is also locked. Is there a way for you to get in the building? Of course there is. A simple way to get in the building is for me to call somebody who's already in the building and saying, yo, where you at? You inside the building? Or yes. All right, cool. I'm outside the building. I'm at the back door. Come downstairs to the back door and open the door so I can get in. They say, all right, cool. They come downstairs to the back door. They open the door. I'm in. Simple as that. If you know the right person who's already on the inside, then most of your work is already done. But you have to know that person. This is all about you having relationships. And here's the key, folks. You got to build relationships before you need them. All right, you see, you don't wait until you get into a moment of need or a moment of crisis or a moment of, damn, I need to get this thing done and I can't get it done by myself. Then you go try to build relationships. That's too late. You got to build a relationship before you need it. As the saying goes, especially in the marketing world, dig the well before you're thirsty. All right. So you don't want to wait until you're thirsty and then you go looking for water. No, you want to have the water ready so that when you get thirsty, you already got the water prepared. So you don't die of thirst while you're trying to figure it out. And we talk about this a lot inside of Work on Your Game University. If you're not a member of the university, just go to the link you see in the comments here or in the link in my bio, workonyourgameuniversity.com. I have a whole framework there called People Skills. It's all about relationship building. And then the strategy part about business building, we talk about relationships and the value of relationships when you are building a business, because business is about relationships, folks. It is not about products or services or sales funnels or ads or marketing campaigns, even though all of those things are part of the game. What business is really about is about relationships. So, and life is about relationships, honestly. All of this is about relationships. The slowest and the least effective way to get things done in life is to do everything by yourself. So if any of you right now who's doing everything by yourself, you are doing things the slowest way you could possibly do them, and you're doing them in the least effective way that will take you the longest to make it happen. You want to do things quickly. You want to do things more effectively. What you need to do is start working with other people, and you need to build relationships to do this. People work with you because there's a relationship with you. They know you, they like you, they trust you. They believe there's something they can get, and they know there's something that you can get. That creates a symbiotic relationship. I get something, you get something. Everybody's happy because everybody wins. You need relationships to do this. You cannot just do this you can't do this just off of hard work and talent. You could be a very hard working and talented individual, but if you don't have the right relationships, you are operating at less than ideal capacity because you don't have the relationships and you're not getting things done. Somebody who has 4 people working with them going against somebody who's working by themselves, a person with 4 people usually is going to achieve more simply because they don't have to do everything by themselves. They got the effort of 4 people versus the effort of 1 person. I mean, all y'all know how to count, right? Which one is usually going to win? Again, let's not even assume the skill levels of these people. Let's assume they're all relatively equal in skill. Person with 4 people working with them is going to get more done than the person with 1 person, because 1 person, each of you as an individual, you can only be in one place at a time. You only got 1 brain. You can only focus on one thing at a time. Whereas 4 people, they could send each other in 4 different directions. They get a whole lot more done. This is the value of knowing somebody who's already on the inside, because none of us is all powerful. None of us has the resources to do everything. Fastest way into the back door is, again, talking to somebody who's already in there, not trying to break down the door. That's just using effort and hard work to try to get to your outcomes, which is what many people default to because they don't see any other options for themselves. Don't use effort and hard work when you could simply use relationships and let other people do the hard work that you don't even have to do. This is why you got to know the right people. It goes right back to what I talked about in the first point. When I was trying to get on playing ball, I figured, all right, I'm not going to be able to just reach the team directly because they don't know me. And they're not coming to me because I came from a small Division III college. So here's what I'll do. I'll go find an agent. They're already on the inside, so to speak. They're insiders in the overseas world. Let me connect with an agent. I connect with one agent. He knows all the teams. He can reach out to a team and he can get me signed to a contract, which is exactly what I did. So knowing somebody on the inside is a big thing. I'll give you an example. I was trying to get into a condominium once, right? Trying to get a place in this condominium. And I'm calling the building. I'm putting in like the little form on the website. They said, text us and we'll schedule an appointment for you. I was doing all that stuff. I'm not getting any responses. The website's not working. Nobody's calling me back. And I'm like, all right, the market down here is crazy, because if I don't hurry up and get into this place, then I'm not going to be able to get it, because people were just taking units out of this building like left and right without even looking at them. That's how it is. If any of you knows anything about real estate, when the market's hot, people will buy a house or a condo or rent an apartment without even going and visiting it. They'll just rent it without even looking at it. Then they'll move in and just figure it out once they get there. That's how it was, right? So I'm trying to get into this place. Nobody's calling me back. Nobody's answering. I'm trying to follow the protocol. It's not working. So I look on the website, right? And I see the management team of the place, the building. And one of the people on the management team, I knew him because he had been manager of a place that I had lived at in the past. I knew him and he knew me. Keep this in mind. So I see his name on the website. I'm figuring, all right, they're not answering the phone. Nobody's answering. I didn't have his direct number, but I knew him. I knew if I seen him, he would know me. He'd be like, what's up, Dre? What's going on? So I just showed up at the building. I just went to the building. I did not have an appointment. Nobody was expecting me. I didn't follow protocol enough. I just showed up at the building. I get to the front desk. There's a front desk dude there. Any of you know anything about how condos work? luxury buildings, they got these front desk people whose job is basically be a gatekeeper. Same thing in office buildings. This person at the front desk, their job is to keep anybody who doesn't belong on the inside on the outside. So his job was to keep people like me from getting in the building, right? Because I didn't have an appointment. So I get to the front desk and I lied to the guy. He was like, "You have an appointment, sir?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Who you got an appointment with?" I name dropped the guy whose face I saw on the website, because mind you, he knows me. The guy on the website knows me, but he did not have an appointment with me. I did not have an appointment with him. He had no idea that Dre was showing up to the building. I just name dropped this guy. He's like, "Oh, you got an appointment with that guy?" I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "What time's the appointment?" I said, "Right now." And he looked at his watch and he was like, "It's 12:15. Your appointment's at 12:15?" I said, "Yes." Now, these are lies. I absolutely lied to this guy. But these are white lies. So this is a victimless crime. So I want y'all to understand that. I'm not telling you to just go lie to make things happen. But if you need to lie to make something happen and it's not going to hurt anybody, go ahead and lie. So I lied to this guy twice. I had an appointment and I name dropped the person who actually did work there. Now, this guy is just a front desk worker, so he couldn't tell me no. I think he suspected that I was lying, but he couldn't do anything about it. Nothing he could do. He's a front desk worker. What's he going to do? So he had to call him. I'm standing right there in front of him. So he calls the office. And he says, "Hey," he mentioned the guy who I name dropped was working. He said, "Hey, we got Dre down here to meet you." And the guy's like, "All right, I'll be down in a second." So and the guy was like, "All right." And the front desk guy said, "All right, if you just wait over there, sir, by those couches, then it was such and such, the person whose name I dropped, he's on his way down." So I go wait over there. The guy whose name I dropped comes downstairs. He's like, "Hey, what's up, Dre? What's going on?" Now, again, I did not have an appointment with him. He did not know that I was coming. And I doubt he even cared because, again, all of you think strategically here. You got to think like a chess player, not a checkers player. What does he care whether I had an appointment with him or not? What business is he in? The guy whose name I dropped, what business is he in? He's in the business of making money, and his business is, I just need to get people to live in this building. He didn't care whether they had an appointment or not. If this guy's going to actually do something and sign some paperwork and come into the building, well, hey, that's good for me. So he didn't care that I didn't have an appointment. So when I got there, he was happy to see me, shook my hand, showed me around the building, and guess what? I moved into the building. Again, I did not have an appointment. They never called me back. They never responded to anything. All I did was show up, name drop somebody who I knew, and that's how I got in. Now, if I didn't know that guy, let's say I go through their website and I looked at the faces and the names and the people on there and I didn't know anybody, how would I have pulled that off? Now that I'm thinking about it and talking about it, I could have just showed up and just name dropped somebody even if I didn't know them. And they'd be looking at me like, "Who are you again?" Maybe that would have worked. That possibly could have worked anyway. But the fact that I actually knew the dude and I name dropped him and he came down and he was like, "Hey, that's what's up. Let's do it. Like, let me show you around the building. Like, this might be a place you move into." It works. Why? Because you have to know people. You got to have the right relationships, everybody. When you know somebody, it's very easy to make something happen if that person's already on the inside. And let's flip this around also. If you are a person who's on the inside and somebody else needs to name drop you in order for them to get an opportunity, then you can let them use you the same way that somebody else might let you use them. This is what we call a symbiotic relationship. So if I need something, I'll use you. You need something, you use me. That's a relationship. I get something sometimes you get something. And it's not about it being transactional. It's just, if I need it, you help me out. You need it, you help me out. But this can only work if you know people, right? This right here, if you ain't got no names in this, your contacts, you go through the contacts in your phone. Let me ask you a question. When you go through the contacts in your phone, you got people in here who will actually make something happen for you? That's a question. That's the question I want to ask everybody who's listening. Whether you're watching this on replay, you're watching this live, do you have people in your contacts who can actually make something happen for you that you cannot make happen for yourself? That's a key question you should be asking yourself all the time. These are the kind of connections you need to make. You don't need to connect with just anybody. You need to connect with people who actually are doing something. People who have what we call juice. People got some juice. And again, they don't have to have juice in everything. You want to have people in different spaces, right? So look, you want to have somebody, and maybe you want to have somebody who has juice in the real estate game. You might want to have somebody who has juice in the financial game. Let's say somebody who works like at a bank or something like that, anywhere like finance related, just in case you need it. Maybe somebody who works in the legal or judicial system. So if you get in some kind of legal situation, you got somebody you can call. You got somebody who's in the law space, somebody who works like maybe for the courts, like a judge or something like that, or maybe somebody who's a cop. All right, you want to have these kind of relationships. As a matter of fact, this gym I go to, there's a dude who works there who's a cop. I need to actually connect with this dude and get his information, because just in case I get in a situation where I need to call a cop who might have some juice, I might need to call that dude. I need to connect with that guy. I'm trying to help put y'all on to the strategic way of thinking. All right, you don't need to connect with people just to connect with them. That's fine. but you also want to connect with people who can actually do something. So I know people in the real estate space. I know a lot of people in the real estate space. Down here in South Florida, there's a lot of real estate people. If there's somebody who, let's say in the book game, let's say I want to write a book and I want to know somebody who knows how to get books done relatively quickly. Do I know anybody in that space? What about somebody who's in the advertising game? If I want to run some ads, I want somebody who just knows their stuff much better than me. Who's that person? So you want to know people in every space. You need to know people in the medical space, the legal space, the government space, the financial space, the housing space, the automobile space. Anything that you're paying attention to or care about in life, you should know about. I have a child. I want to know somebody in the education space, just in case I want to send my kid to a school, or I need to talk to a teacher, or I need to hire a tutor. I need to know people in the education space who are moving and they know stuff. They know what's going on. So just in case I need some information, even if I don't need them to do anything, I just need some information. But tell me what's going on with this thing over here. Yo, I heard about this. You work in the education space. Tell me what's the real about this. And they can tell me. But if I don't know anyone, I can't make that call. You get what I'm saying? Now, if somebody needs something in the space that I'm in, they got to be able to call me too. And I got to be able to help them out. And if I can help them, then when I need something, they can help me. But you got to have these strategic relationships. So this is what it means to get yourself into the back door. I got an interview coming up in 5 minutes, a podcast I'm appearing on. So let me recap these points. Anybody who has a question about anything, put it in the comment section right now and I'm going to address it. We're talking today about how to get in the back door. 3 things. Number 1, triangulate. This means bringing a third party into a situation who might be able to get you in a way that you couldn't get in on your own. I gave you a couple examples of doing that here. But one is, again, if, let's say I'm trying to connect with Oprah. I probably can't call Oprah directly, but if I make friends with Oprah's friends, then Oprah's friend might be able to get me in the room in a way that I can't get in the room by myself. Number 2, think like a chess player. You want to plan several moves ahead of what you're doing. If you got snakes in the garden and you want to kill the snakes, you can try to hunt the snakes by yourself, but that might be hard to do. Instead, what you can do is put some cheese out. The cheese is going to attract mice. The mice will attract the snakes. Then you can just kill the snakes when they come get the mice. And you can set it up to where you can watch the whole thing happen. That's thinking in multiple dimensions instead of just thinking in a straight line. The number 3, connect with somebody who's already on the inside. I was trying to get into this building. Nobody was calling me back. Nobody was answering the phone when I was calling the building. All I did was I saw somebody's name on the website who I knew. I went there. I name dropped this dude who I didn't have an appointment with. He saw me. He showed me around. I got into the building. Simple as that. But the only way that worked is because I knew somebody. You got to know somebody. If you don't know anybody, folks, you're doing everything by yourself. The problem is you can't do everything. You don't have the resources, the time, the money, the attention, the energy, and the focus to do everything by yourself. There's only one you. There are 8 billion people on the planet. Why would you do everything by yourself? Doesn't make any sense. It's just completely inefficient and it's bad math. So with all that said, everybody, Work on Your Game University is the place where you can work with me directly if you would like to be coached by me. And everything that you just heard, if you would like to learn how to strategically apply this stuff to your specific situation, your specific business, your career, whatever it is that you're doing, this is what I help people do inside of my university. This is the core thing that I do is Work on Your Game University. So anybody want to know, yes, I write books, I do TED Talks, and I do these lives. Main thing that I do is I coach people inside of Work on Your Game University. So if you are not a member yet, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can see your options for getting started. We make it very simple, so easy that a caveman can do it. And I send out a daily motivation text message for free every morning. There's a text that's guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. If you want to get that text completely for free, just send a text to that number that I just put in the chat, 305-384-6894. Every morning when that daily motivation comes out, starting tomorrow morning, you'll be receiving it because you're a member of my text community. Again, that's just text me at that number. You'll be getting that. But what all you need to be doing as of the end of this live is joining my university at workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's the best place to go to get to working with me directly is in the university. All right, so I got this interview coming up in a second. So any of you got a question or anything that comes up, just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com or DM me or text me at that number. Work on your game.